Hey team, welcome back to Spec. Today we're here back at Queensland Raceway for round 2 of Time Attack. Today we're going to be running on the Switchback track, and I've only run on that once before, so we'll see how we go. But I've made a couple little changes, and let's see if we can go even quicker. Come on, let's get into it. Queensland Raceway, there are 5 track configurations. The National, anyone who'd watched motorsport in Australia would be familiar with this one. Then there's the Sprint, which is the shortest and become my baseline if I'm making changes to Robin and see if they're working. Then there's the Clubman, that I really need to have a crack at because I haven't set a proper representative lap on this one, as either Robin was in early development or the weather has been poor. And then there's today's track, the Switchback. It essentially merges the Clubman and the Sprint by adding 2 extra corners, so it's the Clubman up to the Switchback and then slower entry to the finish. I'm not going to talk about the Sportsman, that one's just weird. While we're looking at the track, let's have a chat about top speed down the straight. Robin is still essentially a stock BF NA Barra, running diff gears that are better designed for economy rather than acceleration. With my FPV GS, I'd hit 204 kilometers before braking for turn 1. The only time I've taken the Mach 1 out there so far, it would top out at 198 kilometers an hour. Robin's max speed that I've got up to this point is 141 kilometers an hour, just before braking into turn 1. Then I hold on for dear life over the bumps. Now this is nowhere near good enough. Robin is a precision instrument. I've got the duct in the rear to make sure the air actually goes through it rather than spilling out the bottom. If you look at the side of the car, in blueprint form here, the front bumper is actually higher than the bottom of the car. Modern cars have an undertray with a little skirt to help the air clear the bottom of the car. When you look at the front of Robin, now you can see all sorts of underbody bits in the air path. Control arms, tie rods, exhaust, etc. I was watching another channel doing skids in an XR8 when I saw their undertray hanging out. At the time I was thinking they should buy a new one like I did for my XR8 Ute. They're cheap as. Then I remembered, I still have the broken one on the shelf. I wonder if I can Frankenstein it in place to make it fit. First step was to repair the old undertray. It was cracked and starting to separate. So I laid down a liberal layer of sikaflex and let it set overnight. Then it was time to put it up on the ramps and have a bit of a look. The undertray has an alignment dowel on the front edge, a space the EL bumper does not have. After some measurements, I trimmed out a recess to allow the dowel to pass through. Then it was time to offer up the undertray to the bumper. How close can we get it? In the end, it's pretty close. Happy enough that I could make it fit, I forced it into place, supported it with a special stand, and then started sending self-tapping screws into the bumper. The underside shape almost has splitter ducts moulded into it. I never expected these to clear the bumper, so it's time to do some trimming. In the end, I was actually surprised how little bumper I had to remove to make the duct fit in. Now I could run around the outside edge and put a self-tapping screw in every available hole that had bumper behind it. I actually put in a few extra for areas of the front edge that were warped from the Ute's previous owner, depth sounding every gutter that they could find. The back tab that normally bolts to the K-frame was broken, but I held it up with some cable ties. The edge wasn't quite as smooth as I envisaged, so I finished it off with some calibrated race tape and took the opportunity to tune the radiator duct too. But the real question is, did it make any difference? I want to note that I've made no other changes to the car between rounds. I've done basic servicing and a tyre rotation. I can now reveal that that old broken undertray that is screwed and cable tied to the front bumper increased my top speed down the straight by 9 kilometers an hour. It was topping out at 150 on the nose. That might not be much to you, but I'm actually surprised how much difference it made. Imagine what could be possible if I sorted out the rest of the bodywork. But how did that affect my lap time? first session out was a big chunk better. 1:16.2, 6/10 quicker than my previous best. In that session, the driver of the number 15 MR2 asked me if I could see smoke coming out the back of his car. He was having problems with a hose coming off the top of the PCV and venting to atmosphere. Unfortunately, the only smoke I saw was tyre smoke. But having a look at my wall camera after the event, I could definitely tell him now that there was smoke coming out the back. Feeling good, it was time to attack the second session. And even though I had found my new speed, the number 31 Yaris had to fully lift to let me through on the straight. Given that they had essentially thrown away 2 laps, I wanted to make some space so I didn't get in their way. And to do that, I'd finally got a lap where I could hold it flat through turn 5. But I mustn't have got the memo that more speed means braking a little bit earlier. So when I grabbed the brake at my usual spot, I locked a wheel and overran the corner. But not to settle there, the next time around I braked early enough, but overshot the next corner and threw all 4 wheels on the grass. That doesn't look fast. But I gave it a bit of a bootful, so at least I was pointing in the right direction. I must have known it was coming because I even caught it in my wall cam. With only 1 session left to go on the switchback track, it was time to settle down and just run some laps. But for the whole first lap, in my mirrors I could see a big wing K-swapped 8.6, edging closer and closer. They were still too far back to let them pass on the first lap, so I pushed on for a second. I never want to hold anyone up, but I could tell that I was on a good for me lap, so I kept the boot in down the straight, and I'm glad that I did. Easily my best time of the morning, a 1:16 flat. At the first possible instance, I moved myself out of the way, probably a bit earlier than I would have otherwise, but I had just overrun a corner and wasn't going to go any quicker on that lap. With my newfound touch of extra speed down the straights, it was time to have a crack at the sprint track, and see if I could finally get Robin to drop under a minute. Unfortunately not. I all but matched my previous personal best. The whole morning I was uncomfortable in the car. I had a lot of issues with oversteer, mostly when coming off the brakes. But thinking about it, I spent a lot of time changing parts and setting up the front end, but pretty much left the rear of the car as it was. No one should skip leg day, time to focus on my rear. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see the changes that I make, and see if I can get that elusive sub 1 minute sprint session. And remember, there's more to going fast than going fast. I'll catch you next time.